I'm okay, cool. I'm the LA County Chair of the Peace and Freedom Party. Basically, how we're going to do this is we're going to have a couple people from our party speak, go with you about basically who we are, what's the Peace and Freedom Party, what do we do, but basically our short-term plans and goals of what we need to do in this time of upheaval. A lot of people are questioning what do we do now? Trump's elected, the Democratic Party has completely failed us. We don't know. Uh, a lot of people are looking for what's our next steps, and we're hoping to clarify what can be some of the next steps that we can take together. So, whenever we pass it off to the next person, that person's going to introduce themselves, give us their pronouns, and just tell us how long they've been with the party and maybe share a little bit of the party work. So me and myself, my name is Aaron Velis. He, him. I've been to the party for about almost 4 years now. Um, I've been doing a lot of work within my union, uh, but I'm gonna pass it off now to another party member and my partner, Maria Lopez.
Hello? Okay. Hi, I'm Maria, she, her. Welcome. Thank you everybody for being here. We're just gonna start off with a brief introduction about the party and like who we are basically. Um, Next slide, please. No? Okay, thank you. Okay. So the Peace and Freedom Party was founded in 1967. It emerged as a response to the anti-war and civil rights movements of the 1960s, primarily in reaction to the Vietnam War. The party aimed to represent the interests of working people, anti-war activists, and of course distinguished itself by its opposition to the war, the Vietnam War, and advocacy for racial equality, economic justice, and socialist principles. The party attracted a coalition of activists, including civil rights leaders and socialists who were frustrated by the two-party system, support for the military intervention, and then neglect for the needs of the working class. Since its founding, of course, the Peace and Freedom Party has continued to champion these socialist values. Um, so here are 10 points of unity within our party because we have people from different left-wing ideologies. We're a big tent socialist party. We might not agree on the strategies on how to get to all these places. Sorry. Socialism, working class politics, grassroots electoralism, ending the carceral state, proletariat feminism, queer and trans liberation, anti-imperialism, decolonization, eco-socialism, and anti-fascism. But we do believe that the people we work with should agree on how to get to these, should agree on the end goal, sorry. For example, speaking on ending the carceral state, we might have different ideas on how to get there, but we agree on the end goal. So in the chat, if y'all could just write down what point of unity resonates with you and why, so we can have a little bit of a conversation. Excuse me. And working class politics, awesome. Grassroots electoralism, anti-fascism. Yeah, great, great, awesome. So it seems like, of course, these are our 10 points of unity. I'm glad to see everybody resonates with these. And yeah, we'll continue to discuss these towards the end of the presentation and how we can work together.
All right. Can everyone hear me? Okay. My name is Danny. He, him. I am the County Secretary here for Los Angeles Peace and Freedom Party. I'm here to talk a little bit more about um, kind of, what we're about, what maybe differentiates us from different groups, and maybe what are some of the advantages, in terms of the ballot access. We've been putting that out. Like, how does that differentiate us? So, starting off here, like our comrade mentioned, founded in 1967. From the very beginning, we have been a party that was a coalition, meaning it was different groups, different activists, from the anti-war activists of the larger peace and freedom movement against the anti-Vietnam War, the Black Panthers, and the Students for Democratic Society. They all came together back then to put all of their forces together to sorry to make sure that we're all on track, putting their forces together to gain ballot access. And what we're going to continue a little bit on in the next slide as why that was necessary. What are the institutional like barriers, obstacles, ways that, the Democrats and Republicans pretty much make this really hard, and why this alliance was necessary back then and continues to be. So coalition roots are still, part of what we were founded on, part of what we're still doing. So we promote dual carding. A lot of us here in the Peace and Freedom Party originally came from different organizing spaces, a lot of social movement and base building work. I personally myself, before getting involved in Peace and Freedom Party, spent quite some time in the LA Tenants Union early on with United Latinos, and then later with the K-Town local, where I'm in the K-Town area now, and it's through our experiences there and appreciating that grassroots work, and but recognizing that we need another arm that is representing us at a larger scale beyond the sort of day-to-day struggles that we have in these kind of work. So that was, my reason personally for being like, okay, I love the work that I'm doing, but how can we build a movement that incorporates a bunch of struggles right beyond that? And so I think I want to maybe call on some of my other comrades here who had experiences in other orgs as well. I know that our comrade Dave here is, can maybe speak a little bit on that, some experience that he has with tenant organizing as well.
Yeah, thanks so much, Danny. I appreciate it. Hi guys, my name is David. I also go by Loom. So nice to meet some of you here on the call. Yeah, my journey in activism has actually started quite a while ago. I was a Bernie supporter, and that got me introduced to a candidate running for Congress in Los Angeles, trying to see how we can affect change. He talked a lot about great working class solidarity. His name was Kenneth Mejia. He was running for the Green Party Congress seat in LA. That process introduced me to the Green Party, introduced me to some other socialists. And in that exploration of socialism, I was able to meet with some really cool comrades and start some mutual aid projects, collaborate with Los Angeles Tenants Union. Actually got challenged by a comrade in Los Angeles Tenants Union to say, hey, it's awesome, Dave, that you're coming out here and helping out with us, but what's going on with the tenant union in your city? And I didn't have a tenant union in my city. I live in Alhambra, right here in the San Gabriel Valley. And I said, you know what? Got together with a couple other grassroots activists in Alhambra, and we started Alhambra Tenants Union. So that was about 4 years ago. We have been able to help many, many people in Alhambra, and we were able to actually help a few other tenants unions, working with Rosemead Tenants Union and San Gabriel Valley Tenants Alliance, just to kind of push the overall class struggle forward, try to help people in their housing situation, which we know is the biggest material need that everyone has. It's very scarce, it's very expensive, and that's what we've been focusing on. But yeah, I'll go ahead and pass it back to you, Danny.
All right, thanks for that, comrade. Yeah, adding, to kind of the vignette here of experiences, I also want to call back on our county chair here, Aaron, to kind of give us his experiences on the labor side of things as being a dual carding, union member and PFP member.
Hello, everyone. So basically, yeah, I'm a teacher. I'm with the United Teachers Los Angeles, and I do regular work that would be a union member. I go and like, talk to the other teachers to make sure they're coming out to meetings, to rallies, actions, contract, uh, deliberation. The biggest thing I think is important to me is with the Peace and Freedom Party is I'm a part of the electoral committee. I try to make push for changes within the electoral committee. So some things that I've tried to get past is recently I try to pass change to our candidates we can endorse, basically not endorse any congressional, senate, or presidential candidates that are supporting genocide. Unfortunately, that did not pass. And then we try to do other stuff like, all right, no endorsing candidates that don't increase military funding. That didn't pass either, but along the way, I was able to meet other union members who were at those meetings who agree with my positions, but either were too scared to vote on it in front of everyone or who did vote for it. And I was able to meet more of my coworkers who were anti-war, who are questioning the Democratic Party. And I think that's one of the things that we can do in our unions is start building those relationships with other people who don't want to just continuously endorse Democrats that honestly are not very friendly to labor. And that's one of the things that um, I I enjoy about the Peace and Freedom Party is that I have a party that can take my electoral energy towards too that is not going to be helping a genocidal party. But thank you, Danny. I'll pass it back to you.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, I want to, before we move on, I want to call on just one more comrade here, kind of goes their experiences, in this area. So I'm going to call on our comrade Jasmine if she's, ready to speak.
Thanks, comrade. Yeah, so my name is Jasmine or Jazz. I go by she, they. And yeah, I can just speak exclusively on my experience. I used to do a card with Latu. I was a member of the K-Town Tenants Union previously, building up the tenant associations early on when they were just starting out their campaign. And I do a card with another organization previously called, just disbanded now, LA Mass, Movement Advancing Socialism, which was a small Marxist like collective that was trying to experiment with different approaches to building a mass movement and engaging in like intentional like political education and like stuff development as like members of like the mass movement. So, and yeah, from there, like, I was previously part of like different social movements with mutual aid groups in Street Watch, involved in MacArthur Park, in the K-Town local, and just like going around doing different kind of activist work. But then through that like experience of experiencing the limitations of the activist movement, I I felt it was necessary to like join a party and involve myself more with the PFP, as comrades have echoed, to just like complement the work that already exists within the social movements, which I felt like was meaningful and like building real relationships and power with like working class people. But there needed to be like a political arm to that, which was the PFP. And yeah, so I'm proud of the work that I was involved in, and I hope to continue to advance those works through the PFP.
Great. Yeah, and I see we have a question in terms of like what the term dual carding means. So just to kind of harken back to the roots of the org, in this sense, it was when the Black Panthers and the Students for Democratic Society, these other organizations came together to form the coalition party, which is the Peace and Freedom Party. That didn't mean that they abandoned their work or their previous affiliations. That Black Panthers continued to be the Black Panthers, but they were also a strong force within the Peace and Freedom Party. So dual card essentially means a practice of being in multiple leftist organizations that complement each other in this sense. And so, this isn't necessarily a requirement. This is just saying we are an open party in that kind of way. We're not necessarily asking folks to leave it all behind. But if you don't have a political home and you are looking for one, again, being an organizer, being in one of these orgs is not a prerequisite. It's just part of our openness and part of our history to work with different organizations and build that coalition movement. Sure. Let's see. I think we're ready for the next slide. Okay. So, going on on this theme of the independence of the importance of an independent workers' party. To read this real quick Marx quote. So, even when there is no prospect whatsoever of their being elected, the workers must put up their own candidate in order to preserve their independence, to count their forces, and to bring before the public their revolutionary attitude and party standpoint. By old Uncle Marx there. And so, beyond that, what does that mean like for us, right? Because we obviously do want to win, but we know we're not going to get there day one, right? We know that in order to combat the just these war machines that are the Democrats and the Republicans with the billions of dollars behind them, it's going to be a process. And so often we kind of get caught up within like, well, is this candidate viable? Is this candidate not? Um, and that's sort of how we get kind of suckered into the lesser of evils argument. But recognizing that process of building power is one that we have to keep at. We have to continue. And so the advantages of an independent workers' party is that it allows us to advance our own interests without constantly having the rug pulled out from under us. Joining the capitalist parties undermines our independence as a working class when we're constantly having to our demands have to compete with the demands of the billionaires within the same party. In a party for the workers, we're not trying to we're not getting drowned out by billionaire voices within our party. This is a workers' party. This is a party for the people. And so this ensures that we put workers first and not profits. And it unites us into a powerful political force. And hopefully being able to channel these struggles, all these protests, these movements, this energy that's out there into political action and political victories. But it's essential for us to mobilize workers in a political sense. And not just workers, but all oppressed and marginalized classes, because socialism is a project of total human liberation, and that's what we're about. So, I got one more slide before I pass it on. So, kind of then bringing this back to PFP. So, why ballot access matters, right? So, covering some of the challenges, right, that I mentioned. How Democrats and Republicans use restrictive ballot access laws to block electoral competition. It's pretty hard. If you know anything about it, if we were to try to start, a brand new party right now, it would be over 80,000 signatures in the state of California. And if anyone's ever had to gather signatures before, you have to talk like to, I don't know, maybe 50 or so people to get one signature. You're doing like door-to-door canvassing. Maybe if you're a great canvasser, you're bringing that down to like 20 or so, but it is a huge resource intensive project. And that's actually the reason why it took different orgs to come together to fight for that in California back in '68. They actually gathered tens of thousands of signatures in order to be able to do it. So PFP has overcome these steps thanks to the work of the Black Panthers, the work of the anti-Vietnam War movement. We've inherited a party that is ready to fight for us. We're ready to run unapologetic socialist candidates that are for the people, that are against genocide. And so when we're saying, we hear a lot that the workers need a party, we would just like to communicate that California is lucky, to have one. Workers need to build it. We need to staff it up, and we can really get there and make changes. So the question I would ask, y'all, is if there's any reason, anything that y'all can think of, to drop in the chat, is why ballot access may matter, or why having our own independent socialist party is important now. I'd love to hear from you all in the chat. And in the meantime, I'm going to pass it on to our next comrade.
Okay, so that would be me. Hello everyone. My name is Rodolfo, he, him pronouns. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some of our history here, both kind of personally, but also other people who have also already actually spoken on the call. And that's, we can have this great party as a, independent socialist party like we do have. But one thing that we really need are candidates, right? So why would we run as candidates, even though, it's a smaller party, way smaller, obviously, than the Democrats and the Republicans? Well, let me tell you a little bit about the history, right? So the person you see giving a speech there on the back of a pickup truck is Kenneth Mejia, who is now, LA County's, LA City's controller, right? So he won that position after a lot of community work, actually on the Green Party. So, he ran for Congress 3 times as a Green Party member. He inspired a lot of people. He awoke so many people in central Los Angeles about the fact that the Democrats run the city and have run it into the ground, right? So they're not really benefiting the working class of Los Angeles. So he put that out there, and guess what he did? He inspired a whole lot of people to get involved. I was one of his volunteers there on the right many years ago. Right below that picture is David, who spoke to us earlier about his experience in the Rosemead Tenants Union, for example. And the both of us have spoken about the fact that had it not been for Kenneth, we may not have been as interested in independent, third party, socialist perspective. And that's why it's really important to run as third party. Yes, you can run, but you have to run for something bigger than yourself. So that's what Kenneth taught us to do, and that's what we've tried to continue to do. So next slide, please. So again, so it's not just so Kenneth was himself inspired by Bernie Sanders, Democrat, but then he allowed himself to be inspired by Jill Stein. And guess what? Other people allowed themselves to be inspired by Kenneth Mejia and were actually elected. If you look closely on the picture on the left, the group picture, you can see Emmanuel Estrada in the back. So Emmanuel Estrada became the mayor of the city of Baldwin Park here in LA County. He ran as an open Green Party candidate. Kenneth and many other Greens also supported him. I supported him, because we want to be supporting these third-party candidates. And, this was several years back. But so the Green Party was very, very much active in Los Angeles County in those years, 8 years, 6 years, 5 years ago. But as you can see, the pictures down below are from the Peace and Freedom Party, and all of those efforts from those candidates, say the one on the Gloria La Riva, who ran for president 4 years ago, myself and many other people in the community tried to, we put out so much information, and guess what? When we checked the numbers, we saw that the areas where we canvassed and knocked on doors and talked to people about voting third party, voting peace and freedom, independent socialist party, those areas we did better in than the areas that were comparable, but where we didn't focus on that. So there is a role for the party and the candidates in actually awakening the situation and inspiring more candidates, as Danny was talking to us about. Next slide. A very personal example of how certainly in the Green Party is managed, and how we ourselves in the Peace and Freedom Party are attempting to do things. So I myself, because I was inspired by all these other people, including Kenneth, I ran for the Congress 6 years ago, and all of my literature said very prominently, Green Party, Green Party. And my goal was to awaken more people to the fact that there were more options that were just better for us as working class people. And I really tried especially hard to get other people to also run as green. There's some that you see there. Cesar Flores ran for several things, but he ran as a state senate as a Green Party. He ran for Congress as a Green Party. We inspired local community people to run in for local city council, which is quote nonpartisan, but they ran on a local Green New Deal for the city of Paramount. This overlapped in the area where I was running for the congressional seat. So you can see how these having a lot of voices out there, these alternative voices pushing out an alternative perspective, different parties really help out, and they inspire more people. There's Margaret V on the call. She was also a Green Party candidate, and it's very important to keep that going. So next slide. More closer to our party. So I want to tell you about the fact that running as a third party candidate really helps to boost the expression of the people's demands. So it's an electoral outlet for the people's demands. Very concrete example. From our chair, Aaron Reveles. So you see here these social movement organizers with signs saying "Keep Kip out." So this was a movement, is a movement in East LA, Montebello Unified School District to no longer to fight back against the charter schools that are the community's not happy with the charter schools that have come in with specifically KIP. So we, in our capacity as the PFP, we went out there and supported the educators. And Aaron himself, as he told you a little bit about, he's an educator involved in his union, involved in third-party socialist politics. So we, decided to encourage him to run for the office. And guess what? A ton of people voted for him. Because people are awoken. When you're a candidate and you're a socialist and you're an independent and you're not afraid to voice the truth, a lot of people will listen. And that's what we found in Aaron's campaign. We didn't spend that much money, and yet he did very, very well. Why? Because the people are ready for the truth, but we need third-party candidates to actually share that truth. So next slide. So a little bit of a different take on this. So for people who don't know, the man on the left there, so that's the former president of Mexico, and you can see here that our chair Aaron Reveles made a comment 2 years ago about the president of Mexico. Why? Because the president of Mexico succeeded in something that we in the U.S. have yet to do, which is break our political establishment with a new party, with new ways of thinking, pro-people policies. I'll read you briefly what Aaron said. The president of Mexico has been a great inspirational politically and morally. He realized that the only path for Mexico was to divorce themselves from the major political parties that had been selling out Mexico for 100 years. Through hard work and dedication, he created a new party and captured the presidency against all odds. How was he able to do this? Next slide. So Aaron says, chaotic conditions create great people. AMLO ran on a platform that many Mexicans had been clamoring for decades. He promised to kick out private interests from Mexico and purge the corruption inside the Mexican political system. So far, he has kept his promise. I have modeled my campaign in the same fashion. Next slide. Says we must kick out charter schools who only seek to extract our local tax dollars from our communities. They are backed by private billionaire interests who have never had the interest of working people at heart. We need transparency from our elected officials and government bureaucracy. Where is our money going? And why is it that we find so much corruption and scandal in our local communities? I hope you join us for a better California today. Where? In the Peace and Freedom Party. Next slide. So we have big aspirations, of course. We want those major offices, just, the president of Mexico. Yes, you need third parties everywhere. So I want to tell you a little bit about now our own internal democracy and how we encourage candidates. In this case, just so you can see our process, our internal democracy at work. The three people, of course, you see are Claudia de la Cruz, Cornel West, and Jasmine Sherman. So these are incredible organizers who decided to run for our nomination here in California. We had Claudia de la Cruz, and I'll point out these are organizers that have been affiliated with different movements and even political parties that don't have ballot access. But our party is, as Comrade Danny said, a broad party, and we welcome participation from organizers from different groups. So Claudia de la Cruz has been associated primarily with the Party for Socialism and Liberation. We had Dr. Cornel West, who is now very much associated with the Justice for All Party. And I'll say we have his vice presidential partner, Dr. Melina Abdullah on the call. So thank you so much to Dr. Abdullah for being here. And we had Jasmine Sherman. She is from the Unicorn Party. So these are wonderful, wonderful organizers, candidates, and they competed for the nomination. Peace and Freedom Party voters, like those of us here with the red shirts, we completed our ballots. We elected delegates to go to our state convention, and the delegates elected, the person that got these votes. So that was Claudia de la Cruz. So it really is, a wonderful process that we go through, and this is what we really want to emphasize: this internal democracy that we certainly have. In fact, this presentation that you're seeing has been constructed democratically. A lot of our members are speaking because we're very committed to that. So with that, I'll stop talking. And yes, next we have.
Yes, thank you, Comrade. Yeah, so just to kind of like follow up on everything that our my comrades have been mentioning, is the PFP right now is at a pivotal point where we're trying to organize one, like new races that we're going to run in, but also build up our capacity to engage in the social movement work meaningfully and to advance the political projects that we currently have been pushing for a long time now. So some goals to kind of just put out there for the future that we're ambitious about are the ones that are right here on the slides. And again, like these are ambitious projects that we see as like necessary, but also we're a party that's open to a lot of democratic input and initiatives that members within our own organization push. So we want people to develop their own caucuses, to develop their own campaigns and initiatives, and we want to like collaborate and advance it if we see it as mutually beneficial for the party and if people are passionate about it. So we do want input, and we want people to propose plans and initiatives. And but some of the current ones that we're currently trying to push are projects around political education that's focused around developing necessary political skills that the movement needs, from party members, which is like knowing how to investigate, knowing how to connect with people, and engaging in democratic process instead of focusing exclusively on abstract, like ideological development. We want to actually give people practical skills to engage in movement meaningfully and to advance the political campaigns we want to push. Part of that too is immigration advocacy, advocating for undocumented workers and people who are threatened, particularly now with it seems to go through the policies that Trump is going to push that are going to impact undocumented people. So that's something that we're trying to figure out, building up unions among undocumented people or campaigns to protect them from deportation efforts. And then, of course, organizing unions and organizing within unions, which comrades have already talked about. Double carding is important for us, but also understanding the need for labor power to advance, So, and then some of the last remaining points are just coalition building and activism, an electoral movement, and organizing defense communities. But generally, what we see as we want to be a party that's a fellow traveler with the social movements. We're not here to be hegemonic or to dominate. We're here to collaborate and cooperate with other political organizations and social movements and unions that are fellow travelers. And so we see the need to build coalition in order to develop power for the working class, but also to advance the good work that's already being done, which is by building a coalition. And part of that is the electoral movement, running in local elections, and that's something that I think our comrades already have like clarified. And generally, just trying to organize and defend our communities. And I think I mentioned this, or we've been mentioning this earlier, but we're not here to just to turn our back on the grassroots or social movement work that's being done. We want to double car, we want to contribute meaningfully, and we want to continue advancing those projects as fellow partners in the movement, and while also advancing candidates from the social movements themselves, if they are willing to participate in these races and collaborate with the party. But these are some ambitious projects, and there's many more to come and to develop. And I think this is a question that I'll just leave to y'all right now. But generally, we want to ask everyone here is in the chat, what are some initiatives or campaigns that you would like to push that potentially the PFP can be a platform for? So that's something to put out there, but we can talk about it in the chat. But right now, I'll just pass along to my next comrade, which is Gabe.
There we go. Hey everyone, my name is Gabe, and I recently joined the Peace and Freedom Party, but we've hit the ground running because of the democratic process of the party. So I'm excited to introduce that process a little bit to you all. So we have two options for getting involved with the Peace and Freedom Party right now: membership and volunteer status. So the differences are basically in that when you are a full-blown member, you are eligible for leadership, you have representation, and you have voting rights. Another thing is you could run as a candidate if you so wanted and if you fit the goals of the party as a member, though. But if membership seems like too much for you at this time, if that's not what your capacity is at right now, we totally understand, and we have a volunteer status as well. So volunteers are the ones that are helping us put on our events. We do run very active events in the community, doing different things like outreach campaigns and political education. We also ask for volunteers to help us in our canvassing and our outreach in the communities on different campaigns we're working on, community engagement, building that base, building that community, and general support, with what the party needs. A lot of campaigns going on. We have a lot of action going on. So we need a lot of folks to kind of get this ball rolling. So yeah, those are two options. It goes by your level of commitment, your level of capacity. Life is tough. So we can move on to the next slide. And the question on everyone's mind, especially at this time, especially after that election, is what's next? What is to be done? So, as we just talked about, there's two ways to get involved. Follow up with us, which we'll show you on the next slide, how to reach out, how to interact with us, and how to make sure you could get the ball rolling, whether you want to be a volunteer or a member. Step two is to join a chapter. So we are the Los Angeles chapter that's presenting to you now, but we also have a few other chapters in different areas of Southern California that are open for people to join. So finding the one that's closest to you and getting that organized. Step three is to run campaigns, build a base. We all have issues, as Jasmine just asked, that are close to us, that are specific to us, that we're passionate about. We want you to bring those campaigns to your comrades and to get the ball rolling, get a party full of support so that you could work on these campaigns to get to it. If your building is being hurt by a slumlord, let's get Latu together. Let's get those tenants organized. Let's get that fixed. If trash is being dumped on your street corner, let's find local organizers in the area. Let's clean them up. So let's organize a campaign that's close to you. And the possibilities are endless when you're a member of a party, a revolutionary party, and you have comrades at your back ready to help you out. And number four, run socialist. Electoral is one of the things we do. And with the choices that we're given in these elections, it's obvious that we need a socialist candidate on those. A socialist candidate, a socialist option. So imagine socialists taking over city council. Imagine what we could do there. Imagine socialists in the school board, what we could do there. And we see these races in smaller cities that are being won by 400, 800 votes. We could absolutely organize, knock on enough doors together and win these seats together.